Okay, this is for my design and production class. I thought I should explain more the bubble diagrams, and hopefully when you work on it this weekend, you can have a clearer idea what we're looking for. So I made a little list of things to consider, and I'll put it right here in the middle so it won't get lost too long. First of all, let's make sure the bubble diagrams are right sized. That means they're in proportion to each other, which means you need to scale them, and you need to get comfortable with how to figure out the area of a circle. So that's not that difficult. I know you guys can do it. I guess it's what pi r squared or something like that is the area, and that's how you figure out what scale you're going to use. So as Lindsay was doing, I think it's a good idea to probably actually do circles and cutouts, but it's up to you. I just don't think you're going to be able to get a good fluid experimentation with how to do this if you're doing it on CAD or doing precise line work. So anyway, I really recommend the cutouts. Now, in terms of uh, color grouping, I also think that when you're communicating visually, color is it's hard to replace it, and it doesn't need to be fancy. You don't need to go buy, lots of expensive uh, markers or anything like that. They sell these little groups of 4 highlighter markers, and I use those a lot of times. They're, bright um, blue, yellow, orange, and something else, green maybe. And that's all you're going to need for something like this to use to group things. So if you might even have some highlighters around the house. So I would suggest you use grouping for that. Also, you can see the dark lines that they use. Don't use like pencil darkness or thickness of lines. Use something that communicates like this. What else do we have here? Okay, so there's bubbles, color grouping, symbols. Now for the symbols, it wasn't clear about the arrows, but when you want to establish a direct relationship between things, use an arrow like this. Another one would be uh, like, for example, the consultation room to the bathroom. Well, that's not necessarily a direct relationship, even though they're right next to each other. So that's why we have the arrows, is to show direct relationships. And of course, you can see that most of the things that are grouped together have arrows next to each other, but that doesn't necessarily the case in all cases. What else do we have here? Okay, main circulation, that's another symbol to use. You can figure that out from the graphics there. Also, the enter sign, that's over there. Um, Remember to label your bubbles. And let's see. Okay, this is the main thing. Uh, when we're starting out in this course, some of us are coming from a drafting and production background that we learned in architectural graphics. Well, that's something you have to set aside when you're working like this. You really want to do freehand work in the design phase, and freehand is just so much better. Now I'm gonna confess that I go to CAD sometimes, probably overuse CAD sometimes when I need to get exact, like having circles the right size and stuff like that. But you gotta go in and come back into the freehand world, when you're designing, because CAD is nothing but a straitjacket when it comes to design. Revit or SketchUp is a little bit different, but AutoCAD is not the way to design. So anyway, for Tuesday, I'm hoping that each of you can come up with something kind of like this, and we can share how we're organizing our spaces. And remember, we have to, here's this list again, by the way. We have to really move fast because we're going to start doing floor plans on Tuesday, and that's a whole other ball of wax. So let's try to get this organization in our head before then. Thanks a lot and have a great holiday. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.